Whoa, hello there. Uh, so I did this thing, 6B Golden. That's pretty cool. This honestly didn't really take me that long. It only took me about like 2 days of grinding, and I'll show it on screen like 5 hours of like recorded attempts. I think this golden wasn't actually that bad. Really, the only hard part in my opinion is the start. Like, everything before the first checkpoint is really hard compared to the rest of the map. The rest of the map I didn't find too bad. The first checkpoint of all the dropper screens was honestly not too bad, except for the 8th screen. um and then the rooms with battling weren't that hard once you learned it. There's only like 3 rooms that could actually be like a run ender. That being the feather room on the second checkpoint, the second to last room before cassette, and the last room before cassette. Yeah, those were the only rooms that I found like hard, and the rest just wasn't really that bad. My worst fail was only the second to last room. I flipped the final room and the cassette room, which I'm so glad. Okay. Fuck, dude. Really? So yeah, honestly, this didn't really take me that long, and I'm kind of happy about it. So here's my completion for Chapter 6, B-Side Golden. So here we are at the start of the Golden. This first room isn't too bad. Once you do it enough times, it becomes pretty easy and also pretty consistent. Same thing for this next room right here. It's a little tricky at first since I'm not the greatest at feather control, but it also gets consistent pretty quickly. So this next room introduces bumpers, and the thing about bumpers is that you have to hit them in a very specific way to get sent in the correct direction. And if you're just even like a little bit off, then you're gonna be sent in a completely different direction, probably into some spinners, and that gets annoying pretty quickly. This next room also shows how annoying the bumpers can be, because it's really easy to accidentally send yourself flying into the spinners at like Mach 30, and that gets annoying pretty quickly, honestly. This next room honestly isn't too hard if you know what you're doing, so I'm not gonna talk about it. What I will say though is that the reason why there's no in-game audio is because there's a video playing in the background and you could hear it in the raw audio, so my bad. I did mute it at the end though, so you can actually hear my reaction. Anyways, this room with the 2 Kevins is honestly really fun, and it might be my favorite room in the chapter. It's just really fun having to bounce between the Kevins and other things, especially this part right here. We have to jump from the top one to the bottom one. It's really fun. It's not very fun though if you choke on it in a real run, since it's like the last room before the next checkpoint. Speaking of the next checkpoint, here we are. Like I said at the beginning, this checkpoint isn't that bad. It's really easy except for like one room. But it is pretty fun though, I will give it that. Am I just saying that because it's easy? Maybe, but shut up, okay? It's fun. Other than that though, there's not really much to talk about in this checkpoint. I do have a cool strat for this next room though. Watch. Boom! Reverse extended hyper. Hell yeah! I swear it's consistent and it's easier than doing it normally. I swear, okay? You just have to trust me. What I will say about these rooms though is that they are really similar to each other. Like, especially when you're first playing, they all look like the exact same, and it can be kind of easy to like forget which room you're on for a moment. However, there's like one thing every room that like sets itself apart from the others. Like for example, in this room, you have to save your dash for the end, otherwise you won't be able to make this jump right here, and that sets it apart from the other rooms. Another example is this room right here. This is the only room in all these droppers that has a feather, and that's pretty cool. So this next room is the only hard room with this checkpoint, and that's just because of how tight these gaps are. Like, the previous rooms had pretty wide gaps, but then you get to this room and it's just like, you only have barely enough space to make the gap. Like, what is this? So after that room, all we have left is just this really easy room right here that I somehow managed to die in once. I don't want to talk about that. So here we are at the battling rooms, and these rooms are not that bad, I'm gonna be honest. Don't get me wrong, they are really hard to learn, but once you do learn them, they get consistent pretty quickly. It is pretty easy though to make a dumb mistake and die to a projectile though, so I guess it's not completely free, but it is still kind of free. Like, I don't even know what else to say about these beginning rooms here. They are just easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Why the hell did I say that? Anyways, so this next room was one of the 3 chocobo rooms in these 2 checkpoints. And when I was learning this room, I had a completely different way that I would do it than what I currently do now. And it was like way harder than necessary. So when I was trying to do this room, I was like, hey, why is this room so hard? But then I looked at a guide, and then I was like, oh, I was doing it the wrong way this entire time. So then I fixed my strat, and now that room is not too bad. It is harder than the starting rooms, however. So we are just about done with the second checkpoint, and we are on to the last checkpoint. I only had 2 entries to this checkpoint. One was the fail that you saw at the start, and the second is the winning run, which you are watching right now. This first room is honestly pretty simple, so I'm not going to talk about it. This next room is also pretty simple. Battling comes back, but it's not that hard. All we got is just some moving platforms, a bumper. I don't really know what else to say. I'm running out of things to say. So that's that room. This next room is also not too bad, but it is pretty interesting since you have to go around and collect some keys. Oh yeah, fun fact, I failed that dash to the feather somehow by dashing a little bit too low. That was my 3rd fail at this checkpoint, and I'm very sad about it. Anyways, this room's cool, but it's also not that hard. And now, we go to my PB room, or my PB before the completion. This room is pretty tricky since it's honestly kind of hard to dodge battleless lasers in some areas. It's also long, and it's scary, so that really doesn't help this case. Anyway, so we are approaching the last room, which is definitely the hardest room of the second half. I don't know if it's the hardest of the entire chapter, but it's definitely the hardest of the second half. I take a moment right here to catch my breath since I do not want to die at the final room and have to redo everything up until this point. Anyways, for this last room, it's just hard, man. I mean, the first 75% isn't like too bad. The only reason I consider this room hard is because of the last 3 bumpers. They are really stressful to do, especially at the end of this run. That's really all I have to say about this Golden. I'm gonna shut up now so you can hear my reaction. Go! Oh, hell yeah! Yes! Okay. Woo! Hell yeah, bro! Jesus, Okay. Dude. Why am I, oh my god, why am I shaking real badly? Dude, I didn't feel the pressure when I was at the 3rd to last room. I really wasn't feeling the pressure, but, and like, even in the 2nd to last room, but as soon as I made it to cassette room, I was like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, and I started like shaking. Oh my god. Hell yeah, dude. Okay. Woo! That's the first one of the Hell Trio done. Chapter 6 B-side. Look at that. Hell yeah. That's fun. Okay, nice. And yeah, that's my completion for 6B Golden. If you're wondering what I'm going to do next, I'm probably going to finish off the rest of the Hell Trio, starting with 8B, then moving on to 7B. Then after that, I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get there. That's about it for this video, so see you later, I guess.